Roger once again, Mudfossil University today with looking at some work done here by Ancient Astronaut Archive. Excellent, excellent channel. Very good information, and it all seems to be reliable. I can verify that I have seen the same information in multiple sources, most of the places, and additionally, they don't seem to want to draw any major conclusions. They're showing what was spoken of and how it might reflect on the times of that time. And that's what I do too. I show the material stuff that shows that the things that were textually written were, we had every evidence that they're supported by the actual physical things that I can show because of mud fossils. Right? Mud fossils are key to the whole thing. So let's listen to what this has to say. It's very good information about bringing together science, religion, ancient texts, the whole 9 yards. Because they just can't do this. They just won't let themselves come out of their little box. So we're going to have to pry the lid open. Here it goes.
Thus was the handiwork of a universal God manifest in heaven and on earth. These profound perceptions, which lie at the core of the biblical adoption of the Enuma Elish, could be arrived at only by bringing together religion and science while retaining, in the narrative and sequence of events, the scientific basis. But to recognize this, that Genesis represents not just religion but also science, one must recognize the role of the Anunnaki and accept that the Sumerian texts are not myth but factual reports. Scholars have made much progress in this respect, but they have not yet arrived at a total recognition of the factual nature of the text. Although both scientists and theologians are by now well aware of the Mesopotamian origin of Genesis, they remain stubborn in brushing off the scientific value of these ancient texts. It cannot be science, they hold, because, quote, it should be obvious by the nature of things that none of these stories can possibly be the product of human memory, end quote. Such a statement can be challenged only by explaining that the information of how things began, including how man himself was created, indeed did not come from the memory of the Assyrians or Babylonians or Sumerians, but from the knowledge and science of the Anunnaki, the Nephilim. They too, of course, could not remember how the solar system was created or how Nibiru invaded the solar system because they themselves were not yet created on their planet. But just as our scientists have a good notion of how the solar system came about and even how the whole universe came into being, the Anunnaki, capable of space travel 450,000 years ago, surely had the capacity to arrive at sensible scenarios of creation. Much more so since their planet, acting as a spacecraft that sailed past all the outer planets, gave them a chance at repeated close looks that were undoubtedly more extensive than our Voyager peaks.
Okay, I'm not going to bother going any further with this because when they say that nobody understood the creation of the solar system and the universe, I agree with that. Nobody can say from the beginning times. And the Anunnaki admitted that. They said they really couldn't say how it all started. Nobody can. However, I can tell you this right now. From the research I've been doing, from the mud fossil research, I see not a single molecule that I can say was completely dead and never alive. I see them, they're dead now. To us, we say that thing is dead. It's dead. It's dead. It's not walking around. It's not mobile. It's not breathing. There's no oxygen flowing. It's not thinking. It's not interacting. It's just laying there. It's dead. Well, that may be. Or it may be just sitting there waiting to say, when you need me, just let me know, and I will do what I need to do. Because my molecules, my atoms, my little orbitals, and my little bitty piece in this universe has an intelligence that knows what to do when it's put in a situation, just like ants. All right? A pile of ants goes in, they all run in at one time to somewhere. They all know what to do. One guy goes and kills the other ants. One guy goes in and steals the eggs. One guy goes in and opens up the pathway. And they all came from the same source. They all came from the same source. All right? Nature has the ability to communicate with the molecules, and the molecules have the ability to respond. There's no question. Think of the intricacy of life, and if you think that was accidental, and that just does it with no commands, no intelligence, then I say you have no intelligence. All right, I've been saying right along, all of the things are validated in history that were written, and they were called myths. And guess what? They even changed the meaning of myth. It really means a story, a set of stories relevant to or having a significant truth or meaning. Instead, they changed it to be silliness. All right, here we are back in the desert, in the dragon in Morocco, and I'm sorry I have to keep doing this, but I'm still getting people giving me flack saying I'm crazy. I am not crazy. If you can't see this, you got some serious issues with your eyeballs, with the attachment to your mind. That is a dragon. Right there, that's a dragon. You got Google Earth. You can go up here. So I'm not going to belabor this because I've done this so many times that people decide, oh, I don't want to watch it anymore. Well, good for you. Don't watch it. There's the guy's neck. There's his neck. That's the dragon's neck. That is that fluty stuff. There's that fuzzy stuff. There's his neck right there. These down in here are his dragon scales. All right? These are dragon scales, run the whole entire length of that fluted dragon neck. All the way down, all the way down. See it? That's not just accidental hills and valleys and things. That's the neck of a dragon. Now, and down here is where he bled out. Something cut his neck in half. All the way across, not just there. It's all the way across, all the way here. And everything went crazy at that point. And all the blood came gushing out here. That's a blood. That is blood. It's a red-blooded creature. And this is the effluent of a decaying dragon's body. And I don't care, you go to a coroner and you ask him, what is that? Why would it do this? It's because it's rotting in the desert. And way down to the other end is his tail. All the way back here, he's still got a tail going on. It's 1,000 miles away. And that is the same running off effluent from the same dragon-scaled tail from the same dragon right there. And it was a big red dragon talked about in these ancient texts. That's why I'm showing you this, because you got to get your head around these unbelievable, incredible, amazing facts. And that is a fact. I can't help you with there. That's a giant fish. Like I said, you have Google Earth. You can find these things. Look, go on there. It's right off of Morocco. And that dragon is spitting some dragon stuff onto that fish. And this is the dragon stuff. And it is nasty. Very nasty. And I've gone in and I figured out how, of course, let's just look at the dragon's fin. Fish's fin. And you can see it is eating that flesh. So you go up there yourself. I don't want to waste all your time watching this now. But I did actually find out, and I have it, shows how he spit this out. He's got something in his throat here. You see these things? Those are the spitters that spit the stuff, and swoosh, it mixes these two nasty things. Because this is the source of that nastiness. You see that? That's the nasty stuff right there. Squirting into a flow of the two, the red and the green, make death. All right, so that's this. Now, let's look at the Noto structures. And I'm going to show you these Notos. And this was talked about how they try to create us, and they had problems and all kinds of things. And we are manufactured creatures. It certainly looks like it to me. You can make any determination you want to, but I'm going to show you what I can see. All right, this is a Noto, and we have scads of these, and some of them are enormous, and some of them are eroded to a point that you can see every detail within inside of it, and it is not human construction. However, it certainly looks to me like it's from a bipedal hominid type creature, and this was where the fibia would have attached, and it just falls off, and they all do the same thing. And then we have some contributors to Mudfossil University that have some fabulous examples of this. So let's go from here. All right, this is the one I found here, the one I just showed you before. This is like 2012 I found this. And I've been looking at it, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I'm just getting ready to cut the thing in half to see, because I think it may be a shoe. I'm thinking there's got to be a shoe on this thing. So I'm getting ready to cut it in half, and bang, Tish Egerton gets a hold of me. All right, this is a human foot. You see the heel, they call it the calcaneus heel bone, and then there's a flat strap running up. You see it running up from here, and then there's a pad in the back, and there's that tendon that sticks up there. They see all the plateaus stick up, and then there's one little thing that sticks up in the back. That's that tendon, the calcaneus tendon, and it is tough, tough, tough. The Achilles tendon, basically. All right, this is a fabulous discovery by Tisha Egerton out in Missouri, and she has an active site in much, much, much of this stuff. Now, remember I showed you the heel bone and then that strap that ran up. This is it right here. There's the heel. There's the strap that runs up. This is the like stirrup or saddle or whatever you want to call it for the bone that sits down here. And that strap runs right up exactly like the other thing. Only no bones in front. Instead of bones with tendons making them wiggle around, this has a spring assembly. And I mean it's a spring assembly. I've looked at this carefully. And you see this little thing here? There's like a wire running, and it runs right up through, and it comes up over here. You see that? I don't know if you can see that well, but there's some kind of a mechanism here where the no toes are here, and I call them no toes because they're inside of the flesh. All of that's missing, the toe part. But if it was there, what it would do is if you step forward, it would push this up, which would create a spring effect, and it would want to come back. You see, it's going to unwind, and it's going to want to rewind. Then as that unwinds, this pulls this around this way. There's a cavity here, and that opens up. So now this is open, this is turning, so you got the fluid movement of the foot in this nature here. And then it retracts back down, that's right down the line. You see what I see. I don't know what to tell you. That looks like some kind of a little latch. And this has a what they call a detent and a bump. This material here, I believe, I forget what the name of, I forget what the name of it is. Hold on a second. That was an accidental bump, but it was fortuitous, for I remember this is what's called gumite. And it's a rubbery substance. And as this comes back, it's like a bumper. Boop, 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 boop. And there's these things all over the place. There's all kinds of different chemistry here, but it's a ton of it is blood and tissue colors. And I mean, it's extremely obvious. Where do you see the other one she has? Unreal. All right, I'm just going to run right down the line. This was one of her original picks, and that is a foot from a no-toe eroded, and it's starting to erode between where the toes are. They fall off just like little sausages in the front of the you're seeing it. Now, I'm just going to run right down the line. What do we got here? All right, that's the thing that I bumped accidentally. That's inside of these no-toes in gigantic ones. That's the spring-loaded thing I showed you. That's more of this same structure. You see, it's like that Antikythera machine, but it's inside of feet. This is, no, that's hard to see. Spring, no toe block. All right, same thing. That's hard to see, but I know how to look at these things. You won't understand it. That's a set of Tish's feet that she found in this one spot, and she's found a whole leg. I'll show you. Wait till you see this. Now, we'll look at these in a little closer detail, but they're all part of the same thing. And this is skin. That is actually skin on there. And she's got microscopes. We looked at it. We did a lot of work together on this stuff. You know, this goes back quite a while. That's mine. That's some stuff that people sent me over, you know, this just came from Australia, and I honestly can't remember if people sent it to me. They send me stuff from all over the world now, in tons of it. So I'm sorry, I won't remember, and if somebody wants to say, oh yeah, that was mine or something, that's fine, I appreciate that. But this was a foot, And underneath, that's where the gumite would go here. And that's gumite. That's the stuff that's rubber pads that they were built into these no-toes. Now, this particular site, I think this was at the same place, or maybe not, I don't know. But it was the guy that sent me this, that did send me something, because I said, you got to go look. I think there's a heart out there. And he said they turned it into I don't know, real estate or something. Now, this is, looks to me like a wing nut. And that is the underside of the no-toe. And they bolt on these gumite pads with these wing nuts. Like, I'm telling you, this is what it looks like to me. You can make your own assumption. This is, this just shows the whole thing in one nice set. So you can see this, and you can see that it's here. People like to see them all in one little chunk. It makes sense to them. This is, here's a big gigantic no-toe. Now, they came in different styles. You know, this was the designer's style, the rounded no-toe. Now, this is the pads, the gumite pads under the toes. The toes are missing. The toes are up here. So these are the gumite pads. Don't think those are the toes. And this was, and then they have these big gumite thing underneath the bottom. This is opalized. Okay, these are the toes inside opals. Anything will opalize. Any organic material will opalize. The tea's good. Now, that's the tip of a finger, in my professional estimation. Now, this is the bottom of that no-toe, and that's that gumite pad. You see the little tiny dots all over it? You see it? It's like a rubber bumper on the bottom. And then that other one had the tissues shows with the wing nut on it. Let's see what we got here. Here's no toe. And again, the toes are eroding away. These are the pads from underneath. That's a no toe. Very eroded. That came in from California. I can't remember who it was. That's one of mine. These are just shots of mine that aren't any spectacular. Here, right side. Well, if you knew what to look at and understood, well, most people that have been with me for quite a while now understand these colors are the colors of blood. It's colors of blood. Now, if you could, and I did with Tish, I think I might have some microscopic shots here where it shows the actual skin texture. And I understand it quite well, and I think she does now too, and most people do. See, there's that wing nut. I don't know what to say. And these are bolt on these things on the side. Now let me go see if I can find some of the new stuff. This goes back over a year now. She found this, and we worked on this for well, it was quite a while ago. Over a year ago. So now, let's see. And then she keeps finding more and more stuff. It's unbelievable. And then she found this in 15 minutes after seeing one of my videos. I'm telling you, you ask her. This is true. Tish Egerton, her husband, I believe his name is Joe, said, I saw this video, let's go. Because she works in the fossil business and crystals and so forth. And she's very, very good at what she does. And she has a business in this. And I'll show you. It's called Optical Awakenings. Now, so he said, well, I'll go take a look. And 15 minutes later, she comes up with this. And every time she goes back, she comes up with something more spectacular. Absolutely amazing. Where do you see the new stuff she found? This goes back, 6 months ago. Into the summer months. Early into the spring, I guess she did it. Now, she probably won't be going out there until next year again. But fabulous. And the site is very, very active. Tools, bones, organs, feet, legs. Now, this is where she just actually went out and picked these feet right up off the ground. This is where she took it out of. Absolutely amazing. Now, look at this. This is not just rocks. That's a bone. That's a bone. This is the guy just crumbled down into here as whatever. They must have caught him in the mud like everybody else in the mud floods, in the Great Flood. And after they died and they were stuck in this position, and then the stuff went away, the mud washed away, all of the parts just dropped down. That's all I can say. And I've seen, this is not an isolated case. These things are very, very prolific everywhere, ubiquitous across the earth. Everywhere you can look, you're going to find mud fossils. Wherever there's rocks, unless it's lava, it's mud fossils. Now here's another one. That's the bottom of another foot Tish found. And that's all eroded away. The ones she has were in a place where they got a lot of erosion, but they still stayed very intact. But you can see how unbelievably dense with blood that is. That's the nature of blood moving from the red stage to the brown stage, the yellow stage to the black stage. And that's the using of oxygen. So these were oxygen using creatures. You see that? That's the bottom. And then eventually, and there would have been that gumite pad would have been over, and the gumite pad is gone, and that is the nature of the organic material that is underneath the gumite pad. I don't know what that is. Let's see, toe bottom. All right, we saw that before, but that's the gumite pad. That's what gives them a little bounce to their step. They would probably, and the funny thing was, they said, I knew when they were coming, it was the Anunnaki because of the way they walked. Now this is from the foot. You're not going to understand this, but I do. This is the rear of the foot, this is the front, and that's where the front of the foot is, and then it goes up the side. And I did some Skyping with Tish on this one, and I have a video about it. Let me see. This is Tish Picks All. Let's see what we got here. All right, that's one. That's that. That's another side of another one of these that she has. She got all kinds of stuff. What do we got here? That's another one. You're not going to understand that, but that's the heel bone, and it's looking from the other side, and it's all that spring nature stuff. Something I want to point out. No, never mind. There's nothing there to see that you'll understand. Same thing there. I do understand all of these because I worked with her on it. That's the thing. Now look at this. This is really cool. This runs. This is the heel bone. Right? Now, there must have been this. This is one of those gumite pads, I believe, and above the top here is where the leg would have gone down this way. And this is one of those gumite pads, but it's not gone. And look inside that crack there. It's like they built a plate in here, and there's a couple metal straps in here. She's got other ones that demonstrate a similar thing to this, only they've eroded away, and you can see the two main components, the structural components, and I don't know what else to say. To look at that, I don't know what you could see, but I see some kind of like slot with two metal plates going through. That's the heel bone. All right, I haven't been able to get any more information on this. I'd love to have some. But these are the kind of feet that she has. They're gigantic, big, huge, enormous feet. And they have like a plate that comes down on the side with those same springs. And it's some kind of, they think it's like a gibbon, or they don't have any idea what it is. And I don't either. But I think it's one of the early engineered creatures. They show a gibbon, and I don't think this is it. See, here it is again with these gigantic feet. And again, I can't seem to get any information on it. But I don't believe it's a gibbon. I do not believe that. Well, that's my belief. Because of what Tish has. And I would love to be able to see what's inside these feet, or get better look at them to see if I can find these spring structures. I don't know if I can or not. But, none of this stuff is really being investigated the way it should be. All right, this is Tish's feet. They're just absolutely unbelievable, the things she's finding there. That's that heel that I showed you. Now that one there is broken off on the side. You can see it's even hollow. They have these springs. That's the pivot for the foot to do this. This white is all the plate that holds this whole thing down. It's tendinous material. And it's very structural. In between is all the red fleshy stuff, the gooey stuff that does whatever this does in there. Now, this whole structure can do that springy thing that I talked about before. Now, I don't know if the toes are completely missing, or they're partly here, or it just has some very stubby toes. Now, my theory here is that these are so wide. The feet are just absolutely enormous. And the rest of the body seems to be somewhat spindly if it was that gibbon-looking thing. Now, if that's the case, I believe that the feet had to be hugely engineered so that it would be able to stay upright and be able to actually move. But it would balloon, balloon, balloon. I would think it would block each sort of movement, I would think, based on what I'm seeing from the architecture of the feet. Now this was, goes back a ways when Tish found the leg. Now this was the foot, and I'm doing this video with her on Skype. Hey, this is Tish Egerton. She's found another fabulous discovery, and here it is. And this is a no-toe, and this time it's a no-foot leg thing.
That's,
Right.
look at the size.
Right, you see this? In this side right here, I'm pointing to a Tish on the screen as you're holding it. In that little round spot there is what we're calling the torsion spring. And this is the arch of the foot. That is the calcaneus area. This is where it heads off into the no-toes, which are embedded. And she has found many of these with tools and all kinds of things, bones. All right, Tish, so bring it around to the back a little bit. Of course, you can see the ankle bone, you know, go ahead. And it's coming. Now, look at the size of this thing. Look at the width. It's huge leg and foot. And it goes on and on. You know, I tend to go on. But anyway, come up to Mudfossil University, subscribe, talk to people that you will not listen to you, and say, go up there and look. Go up there and look, my friend, because they are missing everything. And this doesn't just relate to some little, you know, novelty. This is a lot more than that. You know, you take it for what it's worth. I'm taking it for what it's worth, and I think it's worth a lot more than just a casual glance and walk away and say, "Oh, isn't that nice?" So anyway, Mudfossil University, thumb it up if you like it. Don't thumb it up if you don't like it. You know, do whatever you want to do. But subscribe and try to get people to understand. Share this with people. Say, let's look at this together. You tell me what you see. But I have so much information on this now. It's really becoming a very hard thing to understand how this is not being disseminated. This information is virtually restricted. So I suppose that's about all I have to say. God bless you, and I think that's probably the reason, because it does indicate there was a God, and all the things they were talking about in antiquities have merit.